Hey friends, welcome to another fall video. We are creating some fun crafts perfect for a fall tier tray. We're doing it all on a budget using items from Dollar Tree, Dollar General, Hobby Lobby, wherever we can find a good deal. Let's get started. For this first one, I'm using a mini cutting board that was in my stash. You can get these various places. I don't know where this one came from, but I've gotten them at Hobby Lobby for like after season clearance. You can get these shapes sometimes at the Dollar Tree. Lots of different options, but find one and just sand it down, whatever, take off whatever's on it and paint it. Now I previously had done some things to it, you can kind of see here. So I wanted to give it a clean slate. So I'm going to give this a coat. I'm using Waverly's chalk paint in the color Truffle. And I'm going to give that, I think, just one coat, maybe two coats. Whatever you need to do to get full coverage is what I'm going for this piece. I am painting this cutting board on all sides, and I also wanted to get some in that little hole. And so I'm just dipping a toothpick in some of that brown paint and just kind of swirling it around to cover that. And then I'm just doing the sides, and I'm going to do the front and back, although one of the sides we are going to be covering, so I'm not worried about getting as full of coverage on that one. You see how it all plays out. If you are new here and you enjoy budget-friendly DIYs, I do want to encourage you to click that subscribe button before you leave. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps YouTube know that you enjoy my content so that they are sure to show it to you, sometimes in your home feed, but also it will make sure it'll show up in your subscription feed. So I would love it if you would subscribe and join my little YouTube family. So we're letting this paint fully dry. You can see the back, which is going to be the back, is fully painted, and then the front, I just partially painted it. And we're going to give this a really good coat of Mod Podge. We are going to be applying some paper, and I'm going to do the iron-on method. So we're going to apply a good thick coat of the Mod Podge. I'm just wiping any excess off the edges because I don't want anything coming down on the side, but I do want to make sure that the Mod Podge is going all the way to the edge so that when we apply the paper, it will stick really well. If you're not familiar with the iron-on method, I will share it with you pretty quickly. You want to let the Mod Podge dry, and then I'm using this scrapbook paper that I picked up from Hobby Lobby when it was on sale, and I'm just going as close to the edge as possible so I have less to trim off, but it really doesn't matter. Apply your paper or napkin or other items, fabric, and then you're going to take a piece of parchment paper, lay it on top of the paper, and then use an iron with no steam. I'm using a mini heat press, but you can use a household iron with no steam, and then just go across the whole piece, and it will the heat like reactivates the Mod Podge and will help your paper or whatever you are applying to stick really well. You won't have any wrinkles, and it just holds really, really well. I love using the iron-on method. And then I'm just going to trim off the excess paper, and I did a couple little snips here with my scissors where the curves were, because we're going to use some sandpaper to get off the excess paper, and I just thought it would help me get into the curves a little bit better by snipping it first. And I'm just going to sand down away from the paper. You don't want to pull up on the paper and risk, loosening it or anything. But this will just do a nice, clean kind of cut, so to speak, around your piece, and just go around the whole thing until it is all cleaned up. I did also take a toothpick and just kind of press through where the hole was to kind of open that back up because I did want that hole seen, and that's all I did there. And then one downfall to the sanding away of the paper is you can kind of see like the white edge of like the paper because the print doesn't go all the way through the sheet of paper. So I'm going to just take a stencil brush and some more of that truffle paint that we use, and I'm going to go over it, but I'm going over it on top of the paper a little bit on the edge purposefully. That's why I'm using the stencil brush, just to kind of make it look a little bit, I don't know, aged or imperfect. I don't know how, distressed, however you want to word it. And so it's going to cover up that white edge from the paper, and then just a little bit kind of go over onto the print. It's a busy print. It's a darker print. It's not crazy noticeable. I think you'll be able to see in the end shots, but I just decided to do it this way. And then to seal in our paint, and also I guess help seal in the paper a little bit, I'm just going over the whole thing with some matte Mod Podge. I like to do that when you're decorating with items. It just kind of helps prevent any paint from chipping. It also makes it easy to like wipe them off if, I don't know, food gets on them or dust gets on them, food, like if you have it in your kitchen. I guess food doesn't typically get on your decor, but if you have it on a tier tray next to your stove, that might happen. So just giving it a good coat of Mod Podge. I have these wood words. I believe these did come from the Dollar Tree, but Hobby Lobby has lots of great options. I'm leaving it the natural wood because I just thought because the paper is so busy and dark that the natural would pop more off of it, and it just says hello fall. We're going to take some hot glue, and then you have the kind of larger spaces that I can put hot glue on and place this in the middle, kind of towards the bottom of our little mini cutting board. And then if any of the hot glue oozes out, I like to use this little tool. I think it's a dotting tool from Dollar Tree while the hot glue is still soft, and just kind of gently pull that away, and it just kind of helps clean up the project. I love all the little tools in the crafting section at Dollar Tree. It doesn't matter if I'm using them for what they're intended for, but it's helpful to have little tools and gadgets to get in spaces where your fingers won't fit. I'm going to finish off this little sign, this little cutting board with some ribbon. It's kind of like a raffia ribbon, but whatever you've got that you like, or twine, whatever, just wrapping that around a couple times, tying a little bow and trimming it down. And that is it for this piece. I am going to show you at the end of the video how I use these items along with things I have on hand to style a tier tray, but this is how this piece came out. Let me know what you guys think about it down below. I think it came out really nice, and I love this color palette, these kind of deeper, richer colors. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about this one. This little pot came from the Dollar Tree. As you can see, I have previously painted it. I am showing you that I'm going to be painting this again, but I'm using this little clear mat. These are a cutting mat from the Dollar Tree. I think they come in a 2-pack, and I love using them when I'm working on multiple projects because one, it protects your surface, although my whole surface is protected. I have like a silicone mat that I'm working on. But when I paint lots of things and I want to just move them out of the way to dry, I love using these little plastic mats because then I can just pick up the mat, set it to the side, and then work on something else. So I want to show that to you as well. But I'm going to take this pot and paint it with some white paint, which I end up not being a fan of, but I'm going to paint it, all the little crevices I'm trying to get underneath there, just because I wanted it to look like this was the color it came in, not that it was painted. So we're going to give that a good coat all the way around. I even decided to paint the inside, but that is your call, not necessarily necessary, but totally up to you. Before I decided I didn't like this color, I painted it, sealed it in with Mod Podge, but it's okay. We're going to paint over it in just a second, but I just wanted to show you that because it's going to look like a different finish, and it's because I Mod Podged it and then changed my mind. I change my mind a lot when I'm crafting. I'm sure I'm not the only one. But the more I looked at it, the less I liked the white, especially going with all of the other pieces I was making. I wish I had plaster by Waverly, but I do not. So I decided to go over this with truffle, and I'm going to use my stencil brush. This is Truffle by Waverly, and I'm going to do the stencil brush. I don't know. I'm not sure why. You don't have brush strokes that way. I was kind of unsure what I was doing here, but I end up just pouncing it on and recovering the entire thing with truffle. I grabbed this pumpkin from my stash. It was either from Walmart or Dollar Tree, and I just didn't love that color orange. It was, I don't know, not quite what I wanted. So I'm going in with Pumpkin by Waverly, and I think I might have given this one good coat, maybe two. I don't remember, but we're going to just paint it a different shade of orange that I like a little bit better. All right, now I'm going to start putting this piece together. So I'm going to hot glue some floral foam that I had into the bottom of the pot to kind of fill it up. And then I'm taking this, it is from burlap.com. I think it might be called Sisal Fiber or Cecil Fiber. I will leave a link down below for you if you're interested. Burlap.com has some great things. I worked with them once and loved everything I got from them. But I'm just going to kind of form almost like a nest. This is something instead of like moss or something else that you could use. I really like this, but if you don't have it, you could use moss. And I'm just kind of piling it on there, hot gluing it the best I can, trimming it a little bit, not crazy. I don't mind the, craziness of it, but I didn't want it too crazy. And then putting a good amount of hot glue on the bottom of our pumpkin and placing that on top. And then I remembered I wasn't done. I'd actually wanted to embellish the pot, but we're just going to do it even though we've already put everything together. So I pulled out this scrap of what would be like canvas drop cloth. I'm not really sure if that's what it is or not, I don't know, but it was a scrap I had. And I love these stamps from the Dollar Tree. They're really, I mean, they work great for me. And I have a little stamping block, and I'm just going to pull off some letters. When you first get them, they all come attached, and you just kind of have to trim them off in between. So that's what I'm doing to get started. And I'm just going to, I decided to do one letter at a time. I was having a hard time fitting the whole word on the block, and there's extra stamp pieces around the letters that was spacing the letters further than I wanted, if that can make sense for you. And so doing it one at a time allowed me to get the letters a little bit closer together. And for this one, I'm using some ink that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. It was only $1.99 for the ink pad. I have used the ink from Dollar Tree, but it is not quite as pigmented. So for some projects I like it, for some I don't. So just thought I'd put that out there in case you were curious. I chose the word cozy because it just is a great word for fall in my opinion. And I'm just trimming this down to the size that I want, leaving a little bit of excess around the edges. And then I'm going to attach it here to this scrap of burlap that I had. I'm just going to hot glue that piece on there. Be careful, protect your surface, because obviously burlap is very airy, and so the hot glue will go through to the other side. And then I'm going to trim that down. Now the burlap is going to fray very easily, so don't trim it down too much. And then maybe pull out a little bit of threads if you want to have it frayed. And then we're going to just hot glue this onto the pot, and that is it. That is all I'm doing for this one. Let me know what you think about this one. There's so many different ways you can do this using whatever pumpkin, whatever size pot you have. You could use moss, straw, whatever your little heart desires and what you have on hand. I have been intentionally crafting my stash, trying to work through things, but I love all of the things that I had on hand to make this piece work. Don't worry, this clip didn't get mixed in with fall on accident. We are using an Easter egg. I have this egg. I don't remember where I got it from. It was either Hobby Lobby, Dollar General, or Dollar Tree, because that's pretty much where I buy the majority of things, unless I've thrifted it, and I know I didn't thrift this one. Pretty sure this was from Dollar Tree. And I am going to paint it. It came in like a 6-pack, like in a little egg carton. I'm painting it with Waverly's Paint and Truffle, and I found a little metal rod I had in my craft stash because I save everything, that went nicely into the hole at the bottom of the egg so that I could easily paint the whole thing without having to like dry half of it before. Anyways, that just made it easy. Put it on a wooden skewer would work too, but I can't find mine. I must be all out. Anyways, one good coat of truffle by Waverly is all it took to cover this egg. Now it might take more if you're using a brighter color, but this was just that gold color. And I am giving this a good coat of Mod Podge as well. I think I might have jumped the gun on Mod Podge on a couple of these projects, but this is what I did, so I am sharing it with you. I try to be really real on this channel. If you appreciate that and enjoy it, please give this video a thumbs up. It's a simple way to help out my channel. It is also a way to let me know what you think about my videos, but it does help out the YouTube algorithm as well. Now we need to find a way to turn this egg into an acorn, if you have not figured out what we were doing. So I went in this little bag of sticks. This one, I was like, I could break off a piece for the acorn, but I kind of want to save these for maybe some antlers. So stay tuned for some Christmas DIYs. But I found a little piece in this bag of sticks, and I cut it in half. We are doing 2 of these acorns. I'm just going to really show you the process of one, but I'm going to cut that in half. We don't need anything super long, and that is going to be our little stem on the cap of the acorn. And then I'm going to take some jute twine. I have this thicker jute cord, and I'm just unraveling it. I ran out of the thin stuff a long time ago, but I have copious amounts of thick jute cord, and it's just made up of little strands. So it's a little bit of a pain, but I am untwisting it, getting out what I need. Now, this process was a little bit messy. I will not share it all with you, but I'm going to share you some of it, and I'm going to talk you through it. I didn't want to use hot glue to put the twine down because I just felt like that gets like bulky and it hardens quick. So I decided to do Mod Podge, but I had a hard time getting like that first strand to just like dry, and then my hands were sticky, and then the twine was fuzzy, and it just kind of got a little bit messy, but it cleans up easily. But I am using Mod Podge, trying to move quick before the Mod Podge dries, but not too quick because I want to hold it and let it set so it doesn't ride up. But basically, we're going to wrap the larger end of the egg because that is where, if you look at an acorn, it is narrow at the bottom and the top where the cap is wider. So we're going to use the wider part of the egg and wrap our twine around. Feel free to use a different glue, a different adhesive, hot glue. If you're using a larger egg, you could use a larger twine. I did kind of start and stop a couple times because some parts of the twine had this really thick, chunky mass, and I didn't think that looked good. So at one point I just said, you know what, we're going to get in here. Our hands are going to get messy. We can wash it afterwards. It's fine. And it was fine. At the very top, when I had it all spiraled in, the top kind of picked up on me, so I put a little dab of hot glue, and then I left, that very top has a little opening, a little circle, and I'm going to hot glue our little twig in the top, and that is going to give us the rest of the acorn. Now, I'm going to put some Mod Podge on top of the twine. This will contain the fuzzies. It is also just ensuring that there's plenty of adhesive to hold it in, because I was a little bit worried about it. But then because of my sticky hands, I got some of the fuzzies on the bottom part of the acorn, and some Mod Podge, and I tried to just clean it off and I couldn't, so I just went back in with a quick coat of Waverly's chalk paint and truffle, the same color I used in the beginning, and just painted over some of the glue and some of the hair. You really cannot tell at all. And so although this was a little bit of a pain, it didn't take too terribly long, and it was fun. Something, fun to do. I haven't seen a lot of ways of making your own little acorns, and using some eggs from Easter time was a great way to do it. And I wanted to try this one for a while, and I'm glad I finally did. Let me know what you think about these. I think they came out really cute, and I do think they were worth a little trouble. I just have them here on the table to show you. I think they'd be really pretty in a bowl filler with like other things as well, which is probably what I'll do, but I'm going to show you how I'm using them on a tier tray at the end of the video as well. Let me know what you think. Would you put in the effort to make these happen, or would you have a better way of doing them? I'd love to hear it. I'm pretty sure this little frame came in a pack of many from Hobby Lobby at some point, but Dollar Tree has little frames. Frames are easy to find, for me anyway, at thrift stores. Anyways, we're taking one and we're going to paint it. I don't have any use in what I'm doing today for a silver metallic frame. I am wiping it down real quick with some rubbing alcohol, just because I figured if there's any oils from my hands, it might make it hard for the paint to adhere to it. So that's why I'm going to just wipe it down first. I'm going to use this paint. I recently acquired some wonderful craft supplies, including paint, from my mother. That is where I get my crafting from. And she is downsizing. Her and my dad are downsizing homes once again, and she was getting rid of stuff. And she let me go through it, and it was glorious. So thanks, Mom, for the paint. So this is like a taupey color paint. Honestly, I like this color, but matching everything else I did, I kind of wish I just used the Truffle by Waverly, which I also got from her as well. But I'm going to use this paint, and the back side of the frame is like black plastic, and then this is like a metal. So I had to let it dry thoroughly in between and then do 2 or 3 coats to get full coverage. And then I am sealing that with Mod Podge because I definitely did not want it scraping off of that metal mirror type material. So I needed something to put inside the frame. I have this thick paper. This actually came from burlap.com as well. I love this cardstock. I use it all the time. Just using the mirror or the glass from the frame to trace and cut out a little piece of paper to put inside. But actually, we are going to paint this cardstock. I figured the cardstock would take the paint well because it's thicker. It's not going to curl up quite as easily. And I found this complementary color. I know it's pretty bright, but you're not going to actually see very much of it. And it goes with the scrap paper used in other projects in this video. And I wanted to kind of have a little peek of that. So we're going to add this paint onto the paper and let it dry, just one coat, and let that fully dry. It did curl up a little bit, but not too bad. I'm going to use some rubbing alcohol to quickly clean off the glass as well because, well, I didn't have glass cleaner with me, and rubbing alcohol works great for that. If you're enjoying this video, please leave me a comment down below. I love to hear from you, and as with everything else I've mentioned, it helps out my channel a lot. If you don't know what to say, leave me an emoji. Leave me an orange heart emoji to represent fall. All right, so we've got our paper dry. You need to make sure it's dry because we're just putting that inside the frame and putting the glass on it. And then we're going to add an embellishment on top of the glass because it's too thick to put behind the glass. I have these little wooden trucks. They came in a pack with many of them from from Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby is a great place to look for little embellishments. And I'm just going to use a little bit of hot glue and attach this to the front glass piece. And that is it. I love how this one came out. Please let me know what you think about this one. Do you like that little pop of the blue color? Of course, you could use any color you wanted, but I thought it would go well with the other pieces that I was going to be decorating with. So I thought this was fun. Let me know what you think of this one down below. So this one here is a book stack from the Dollar Tree, and I have seen these also it's a faux book stack. Obviously, you could also do a real book stack, but this one's from the Dollar Tree. I've seen them at Dollar General, Hobby Lobby, all sorts of places. But we're gonna just cover this with paper so we don't have to sand it or anything. We are going to Mod Podge it, and I'm going to do it in sections because I want to maintain the look of the book stack. So we're going to do one book at a time, and I'm going to use the iron-on method and Mod Podge, put a layer of Mod Podge, and then let it dry. So we're going to do the sides and everything, and put the Mod Podge on, and then let it dry. And then I have this paper from Hobby Lobby. I found two papers that were coordinating colors. They don't match, but they go. And once the Mod Podge is dry, we're going to start with the top here. And I'm going to iron on using the parchment paper in between. I think that's to keep you from burning the paper, is my guess. And then I'm going to use a sharp cutting tool and a cutting mat to trim off the excess. Now for this one, for the first side, I'm going to be able to just kind of wrap it around to do the side of the book here. And I was kind of like deciding as I went. I was like, yeah, I'm just going to roll this over. And then ironed that piece on. And then for the other side, we'll go ahead and just cut off a piece and add that on there. I wasn't super worried. I mean, I made it go and match, so it didn't look totally misplaced. But in the end, nobody's really going to notice that anyway. But I did try to match it up and line it up as much as possible. And then trim that down. I didn't want to do the sandpaper thing to get any excess off because I didn't want to, ruin any of this. So this took a little bit because I did it bit by bit, but it was totally worth it in my opinion. And I'm going to do the middle piece. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but I did do the middle piece a little different since it's just a strip here. On the bottom piece, I did go underneath like I did on the top. So hopefully that makes sense. And I'm just going to lay this on and use my fingernail to create a line for where I needed to trim it because I didn't know how else to, get that off well. And then I'm going to iron it and then finish trimming it. And there's these grooves in between the, faux books. And I just was able to put my little cutting tool in between there and, get off any excess. And I did all of the sides of the book. The back is just cardboard, but it looks nice. It doesn't look messy. And I just tied a little bow on this and called it good. I didn't add any words or anything else. It was, busy paper, so I let the paper kind of do the work in this particular DIY. And I love how it came out. Let me know what you guys think about this. I have done full book stacks. I've done book stacks where I've just wrapped them with paper or painted them. But this little piece was fun and easy, and I loved just doing the paper just for something different and to not always have words on everything. Each of these items, of course, could be displayed any way you want, but I'm going to show you how I put them together on a tiered tray using the items created in today's video and also how I mix and match them with other things in my stash. This little hay bale is from the Dollar Tree from years ago. They're a little bit messy, but if you're not moving around a bunch, it's not too bad. These itty bitty pumpkins, they're also, either from the Dollar Tree or Hobby Lobby, I'm not sure. And they're just great little filler pieces and adding in a little touch of greenery. A pine cone from the Dollar Tree that I had previously painted, and just kind of moving things around, taking a step back, looking at it. It's just kind of fun to toy with it and, move it around until you have something you like. But I love this. I think it's really fun. Little peek into fall. I love the turquoise in the picture frame, how it coordinates with the plaid paper as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.